Welcome back to the SA Weekly Talk Show. Mike Callahan here with co-host Cody Owen, not to be confused with any other Codys, and our special guest, Mike Baum of Broadner Equipment. Broadner Equipment is located in upstate New York. Actually, specifically Rochester is where it found its humble beginnings. Actually, where I started my lawn care company and actually started buying my first pieces of equipment. So Mike and I go way back, as well as the family before Mike actually was in the business. But a little background on Broadner Equipment before I open it up, like Mike tell the story there. Fourth generation, 60 years in the equipment business, and the top Exmark dealer in all of New York State for several years now. So just really excited to bring it back to the home roots and get Mike on here to go over all things equipment and things we should be talking about when we're going out to make a new purchase decision and things before that as well. So Mike, obviously first time in the SA Weekly Talk Show. If you don't mind just giving us a quick background of how you got into becoming a dealer, some of the things you guys provide, and we'll kind of dive in and people may ask some questions live here or in the recorded version, but floor is yours, brother.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it, and glad to see you doing so well, Mike. Like you said, been a long-time customer of ours, and we've been around 60 years. It's something my father took over the reins from my great-grandfather, Mike, who I'm named after. Started as a hardware store and kind of grew from there with reel mowers and sharpening the old machines to what we have today. Now we're selling 96-inch commercial zero turns, and we've really come a long way. It's been great. It's a family business. We've got 19 employees. 12 of us are family, and it's really enjoyable. The industry is always changing. There's something new every day, and it's great to be a part of. I got back into the business about 10 years ago. I've been traveling all over the country and doing my own thing, and found my way back and found a niche and found something I really like, and it's enjoyable for everybody.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate kind of giving some background on that. One of the things I think when we first go out and start a business is, especially whether we're in business or actually we're new to business, like how do we go out and actually find a dealer? And I know my dad actually it started a relationship with you guys, and we had a old mower kind of sitting in the garage for a few years. And if no one's heard the story, literally, my parents made me pay for my car insurance. So a few years before I turned 16, I walked around, knocked on some doors, and got some accounts. And I was walking around with a ransom Bobcat mower with the weed whacker from Sears and Home Depot strapped to it, and the blower. And eventually I knew I wanted a mower that I could, cut more grass with. So eventually I saved up, and I literally walked into Broadner for the first time with $3,000 cash in my hands and bought a belt-driven Exmark mower from them. And from the rest, it's been history. So literally 23, 24 years we've been working with you guys. It was kind of a leap of faith that I didn't know. I just walked in because that's where my dad had gone to get the lawnmower blade sharpened in that when I was a kid. But if we're going in as a business owner, Mike, what kind of expertise would you lend and talk about of going in and choosing the right dealer in your local or maybe outside your local area for sure?
Well, a lot of it is referrals and word of mouth. That does help. But in the industry, it gets different. You need to find somebody, one that's been around and knows the equipment. You find a new place, or if you find something online, they don't necessarily know the equipment and know what they're selling. They're just looking for the dollar and to move equipment. You need somebody that is passionate about the equipment they sell and is knowledgeable about the equipment they sell. I can sit here and sell any zero-turn lawnmower and say, yeah, go ahead and cut with it. And if the machine's going to break down in a month, it's not the right equipment for you. So you really need to make sure that the person you're talking to is knowledgeable. If you're just starting a business, you don't need to go out and buy a $20,000 zero turn. Like you said, you started with a $3,000 belt drive walk behind. A lot of guys should get that start that way because, as you know, not all lawns can take a 60-inch or a 72-inch commercial zero turn. You got to get into those 36-inch gates. You got to get into the backyards. And if you walk into a place that's just telling you, nope, got to get a 60-inch, everybody uses them, this is what you do, you're not going to be successful, and that dealer's not going to be around for a long time either. The independent dealer is really kind of going away, and it's all becoming bigger dealerships as you go. I mean, you can see people are getting swallowed up and bought up, and if they don't have that history and they don't have that passion to continue to grow, they're not going to be around to support you in the long run.
Yeah, and building upon that, I want to congratulate you guys are on your second location now outside of Rochester, going into the Buffalo area, and I think that kind of speaks volumes to having the ability and the bandwidth to service commercial clients. So I know one of the things that if I was going to go out and redo it is, do they have a particular expertise just for commercial people, or is it like a Home Depot or Lowe's where, yeah, maybe you can get a lower grade commercial still or Echo or whatever that is, weed whacker, blower. But what does that look like far as do they have the knowledge and skill set to actually know how you'd use that piece of equipment in your industry? And I know a lot of times I loved going in to your place there and having conversations with you in the later years and, hey, should I get this Red Max 8001 monstrosity that like literally weighed 50 pounds on my back because it gave me some extra blowing capacity? But you guys, you didn't push the sale. You said, hey, where do you need this? How are you going to use it on a daily basis? Is it mainly just for cleanups? Like, yes, that may extra weight and the cost may be applicable, but a lot of times you guys would kind of steer me into the higher end, mid-level, some of the equipment because it was lighter weight and had better durability and things like that. So I think that has been really instrumental working with Broadner Equipment. So choosing a dealer, you mentioned that, like, it's starting to consolidate. So would you mind speaking to that? I don't know, Mike, you guys have been to GIE, you've been around. It's not just a local upstate New York thing. You guys are hitting the national level, even with like state bids and things like that with different products you carry. So is there certain differences between a place that is just residential and a little commercial, or a certain setup that you should look for?
Yeah, I mean, the just residential guy at this point is really struggling, mainly for the fact of the Home Depots and, the Amazons and what have you, where years ago, if you spent $499 on a mower, well, you expected that mower to last you 20 years. Well, now people are spending $200, and hey, if it's not running in 2 years, I'll just go spend another $200. So those mom and pop shops that would do $1 million in business a year to support the family and could provide, that's kind of going by the wayside because they're not getting that same service work. And in the commercial industry, you guys need the service work. It doesn't mean you don't have your own mechanics. It doesn't mean that you can't figure out the small preventative maintenance, the stuff that should be done. But when you do have a big engine job or something like that, that has to be taken care of and addressed. Well, the mom and pop shop, they're not looking to plug every, engine into a computer right now. That's where the industry's moved. Anytime we're doing diagnostics, there's a lot of software and there's a lot of stuff that goes into breaking down an engine now. 20 years ago, it didn't matter. You rip the thing apart, throw it together, and have at it. Well, now, I mean, I've got guys going, they spend probably 2 weeks a year just on training, on breaking down these engines and reading the software and reading the codes. And the places that never wanted to move with that technology, they're kind of falling behind and they're falling by the wayside. And that's kind of where I'm saying that it's going towards the bigger guy that wants to help everybody, but also wants to be ahead of the curve. We've got to know what's coming next, because if you don't, you're going to be the guy that's just falling behind.
And speaking of kind of knowing what's coming next, I know a lot of times, especially in the spring season in upstate New York or even down south, when that grass is thick and heavy and really nasty, things are breaking. Is there certain thresholds when you're going out to vet a new vendor or dealer as far as like parts and stock, certain things? I know that was one thing that I always found very beneficial, is that the working with you guys as a vendor, is there were certain things I really never had the problem of like, oh my gosh, I've got to wait 2 weeks or have something like FedExed out. Is there certain thresholds or certain things you should be kind of vetting a dealer with to make sure they have in stock to protect you as a commercial company?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the one thing that built our commercial business, and the reason we've had people like you and the trim lines of the world and the customers that come in and they've been here for 20, 30, and there's even guys that we've had for 40 years, is they're not waiting for a pulley. They're not waiting for a belt. They're not waiting for, blades. I mean, how could a dealer not have blades in stock? And that's what has grown our company to this day. But there's guys that come in with, hey, I got a Toro through our 60-inch belt. I know the X-Mark one's the same. It's not the same, but there's no reason that your Toro dealer should not have that belt in stock. So if you're buying a machine, your common parts, your scalp wheels, your front casters, all your idler pulleys, if they can tell you, oh yeah, I might have one in stock, you need to find somebody that says, oh yeah, we got a dozen back there. We sell 100 plus a year just because of the volume we do. Guys, we have to stock these. Long ago, we've gone to the system. If we sell 2 parts in one season, that is a stocking part. We will keep that part in stock for the year because we know that somebody needs it. And it's common wear items. It doesn't necessarily mean that we've got, every gasket, made. But the big thing with us and with, say, Exmark, for example, is they've limited the amount of parts on their machines to where there's certain machines that use 330 parts, and that's common among 20 to 30 different models. Well, that helps us as a dealer to know that that's a company we want to work with, that every mower that comes out doesn't have a different blade holder, different spindle. If you do that as a dealer, you're not going to be successful. You're going to thin yourself out, and you're not going to be able to provide for the commercial cutters.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, jumping back to what you were talking about at the top of this about finding a dealer who has knowledge, that like actually knows this equipment, lives and breathes it. If I'm walking into a dealership as a non-equipment guy, how do I find out that this person actually has knowledge and is not just, a gifted salesman?
Well, the main thing should be asking you is, what are you looking to do with your business? Are you looking to do 50 homeowner lawns in 2 neighborhoods and you're not even going to trailer and this is what I'm going to do? They should ask you the right qualifying questions, not how much are you looking to spend. It should never be the first thing they ask you because, I want to spend $5,000. Well, this is what I have for $5,000. No, they should ask, what are you looking to do? Do you want it to be a side business? Are you a fireman and you have 2 days off a week? Are you looking to do this as, hey, the park just came to me and said I can cut their whole park for the year and they're going to pay me this to do it? You got to find the dealer should be asking you the right questions. He shouldn't be telling you what you need to buy. He needs to know what you're going to do with the equipment first. And like Mike said, that's always been our approach. We're not going to sit here and sell you this machine because we're going to make the most on it, because we need you to come back and buy the Red Max blowers and the Husqvarna trimmers and we're not looking for a one-time sale. If they look to be looking for a one-time sale, they're probably not going to be around in a couple of years to help you out.
Yeah. And as we're going in to buy new equipment, like, is there certain things, different financing things that we should be looking at? So if it's a vetted dealership, I'm assuming there should be certain types of financing based on the specific equipment they're selling, whether it's zero finance or different plans. Would you mind kind of hitting on that as far as like what your thought is of qualifying your deal? Does them offering certain financing through like Sheffield and things like that come into play?
Always. I mean, there's always going to be a financial assistance option through financing, whether it's a 0% offer. Those have kind of gone away over the last couple of years, but depending on the size of the dealer and what they can offer, the dealers that do more work with Sheffield can offer the better deals. Same with their brands. But yes, they should. Any dealership should be able to offer some type of financing for your equipment. A lot of guys are looking to lease now. We do a lot of leasing as well. But yes, we use Sheffield. We use Western Finance. But yes, and City's actually really gotten into the game as well through Exmark and through Honda. Citibank has really become one of our bigger financiers as well. But yes, any commercial dealership should have financing. It should know the days of a cash dealership and this is the only way we operate. Those are gone. You have to be.
And one thing you brought up, which is interesting, and it's something we were looking at Callahan's, we never pulled the trigger on. But you mentioned the big shift right now is going into leasing versus buying. Real quickly, would you mind kind of expressing maybe some of the pros and cons or what things you should look at if leasing or buying is appropriate for your business?
Yeah, I mean, really, you got to figure out the hours that you put on your machines. Your company continuously put 500 to 700 hours on a machine in upstate New York. We're not out, in the South where you can run 1,500 hours a year on a machine. We have such a limited time window that you are putting 500 to 700 hours on a machine. While the more you're putting per season on it, a lease may not be benefit to you. If that machine's going to be shot in 2 years, there's probably not much of a recourse in it. However, a lot of the things that have changed, even with the leasing now and the way that people would buy in the past, is the warranties now have gotten so much longer. I mean, an Exmark machine right now comes with a 5-year warranty on an X Series machine. It used to be there were 2-year warranties. In 2 years, you wanted to get rid of that machine because as soon as the warranty's up, anything's on you. Well, now you can, push those machines out to 5 years and you're getting all your idlers covered. You're getting anything, with your pumps and stuff. So the big thing that I've actually noticed with my leasing is really in my robotics and my Husqvarna stuff is I've got a couple landscapers that are leasing their robotic mowers for the fact that it's $1 buyout at the end and they can leave them right on these people's properties. So it's a little different than some of the bigger equipment.
So I'm glad you mentioned the robotics. So just if anybody's watching that's unaware of a robotic mower is, you want to kind of break that down. I know Dylan on the SimpleGrowth team was located up in Sudbury, Ontario with his Maxim Lawn Care. And Dylan was one of the, I would say, the frontiermen of automated robotic lawnmowers. I think he had 30 or 40 of them all amongst Sudbury, Ontario, which if you ever been to Sudbury, it's not a big town. So would you mind kind of just, I guess that really wasn't on the conversation docket, but I think that's an interesting play because Jonathan Potoshnik of the Lawn Care Millionaire, co-founder Service Autopilot, is always looking at the next shift in technology. And I feel like that seems to be the next shift. They've been around for 20, 30 years in Europe, but what are you seeing in the marketplace? Is it more of a residential play? Is it a commercial play? And I know they had some all the way up to 60 inches at GIE, so it wasn't like just little homeowner units.
Yeah, no, we're actually a Mean Green dealer as well, who's working on some of the 60-inch and 72, actually a 74-inch autonomous mower. But we got hooked up. We've been a Husqvarna dealer since the early 90s, right after we had a big ice storm here and we needed a chainsaw. So we got hooked up with Husqvarna. And 5 years ago, they started bringing over the robotic mowers from Europe. And it was a tough sell in the States. You know, they brought them in. They were expecting it just to take off. And it's been a lot of work. In 2016, I took it on and I went full force with it. I've done over 150 installs of Husqvarna Automowers is the brand that I'm doing. This year alone, I've done 90, and the shift has changed over a little bit to that commercial area. I've set up J&R Landscape down in Syracuse. He's come all the way up to Rochester to see me, pick my brain, and he did a lease of 25 units right now. He's looking at another 25 for next season. The RIT, I've put 5 units on their campus this year. We've got 6 different high schools now that are using Husqvarna Automowers. I've got Churchville, Tri-Li, Leroy Schools, Honeoye Falls. I know I'm going to miss a couple, but they're using them in their courtyards. Instead of putting a gas machine, bringing it through the school, they've all got little courtyards there. We're able to set this mower up. It can cut at night. There's no noise. The kids don't even know it's there. And that courtyard is always maintained. Penfield Schools, they've got 4 of them now. Churchville just went for 2 more. RIT, we're cutting the big hill. I know Mike's been to the RIT campus, but they've got a large hill that the students at the end of the year, they slide down the hill. It's a graduation hill. Well, they were trying to use a stand-on mower. You know, they had a stand-on that they were cutting the property with, and it got dicey. It was a pretty slope hill, pretty steep hill, and we brought the all-wheel drive auto mower out there, and it's been cutting there all season. They've had no issues with it. They haven't had to do anything with it, and it's really just the way that it's moving. So autonomous mowing, robotic mowers, it's not the future anymore. It is here now, at least in our area where I've been successful with it, and we've been able to show people the advantage of it. There is no gas. There is no oil. There is no noise. Your lawn is always maintained. It doesn't look like Yankee Stadium where you're striping the field, but it looks like a turf field. And I've let the homeowners know if you do have an issue with it, it's a lot easier to pick that thing up and put it in the front seat of your car, rather than you got to get a trailer, a truck, or a buddy to come drop off the mower, bring it in, sit there for a couple of weeks. I mean, this we can plug right in and figure out what's going on. So yeah, it's exciting. I mean, it's something I've gravitated towards these last couple of years, and I've been excited to share it with everybody. I haven't cut my grass in 4 years. I mean, this thing is, I know we're talking to some landscapers here that don't want to hear it, but for the last 4 years, I've done nothing but string trim my yard, and it's been great.
Huh, that's awesome. Cody, any thoughts up to this point here before we dive into one of my favorite topics, preventative maintenance and repairs?
Well, so Mike, you mentioned Mean Green, and I wanted to talk about them for just a second. Where do you see the same, like the future is here now with like commercial electric equipment that you're seeing with autonomous equipment?
I do. It's still more of a niche right now because it is such a bigger investment for people to get into. Jeff, when he bought his auto mowers from me, he bought 25 machines, and that worked out to be about a $60,000 buy. Well, if we're going to do that with a Mean Green, you're getting a 1-0 turn and a stand-on. So where he's, it's the price is still an issue, but you have to target your business, differently. You can't be, I'm going to go cut, commercial properties with Mean Green and say that I'm going to handle all this at the same price I was doing it before. You have to sell that as an upgraded company of, we're bringing a propane truck out there or whatever it may be, or, and sell your business that way. It's a harder to integrate that into 16 trucks and trailers running, and we're going to have one that's just Mean Green. They're great machines. We went down there 3 years ago, visited the factory in Ross, Ohio, and we were amazed. I got back, I went with my father, Tim, and nobody in New York's doing it. We can handle Syracuse, Buffalo, and Rochester. We can be the Mean Green distributor or dealer in the area. And I think we should jump on it now. And we did. I mean, they're aluminum frames. So with the weight of those batteries and stuff, you're still the same weight as an Exmark 60-inch zero turn. So there's not the big weight difference that you would expect. And they've held up well, and we've done well with them. We do have a lot of towns, municipalities, schools, RIT again. They've got some, Fairport Electric, all these companies, we're moving them to places that really want to get into that green, no emissions area. But yes, it is the future, but they're here. I mean, they're constantly upgrading different types of lithium batteries, and there's no noise, which is really nice.
And that's interesting because a lot of the noise, especially out west right now, is being regulated. So we're seeing a big shift to that electric and kind of clean green air movement. Hobie Barrett, want to say what's up to Hobie, wants to sell and set up auto mowers down in his area of Savannah, Georgia. Great trip last time we were down there for QDS this year for sure. But I guess as we're kind of wrapping it up, like as far as preventative maintenance and things like that, no matter the equipment you're running, whether you're out in Texas running year round or you're in upstate New York, up in Canada, limited season, what are you looking at as far as preventative maintenance, best practices? That maybe what should you be doing in-house as far as if you don't have a full-time mechanic, and then what should you be handing off to a dealership such as you guys for professional preventative maintenance to make sure that you're kind of checking all those check boxes to stay within that 5-year warranty? Because I got to imagine if you don't do certain things in that warranty, they're not going to cover you for everything.
Right. It's knowing what you're good at and knowing what you can do. There's certain guys that don't have any techs. They're, 2-3 man operations, and changing the oil is about the only thing they can do, and sharpening their blades. Well, those are two major things. As long as you can get under, keep your deck cleaned out underneath, especially in heavy season when there's a lot of moisture in the ground and stuff like that. Changing your oil is obviously a huge thing. If you know how to change your hydros, that's great. But all these machines now have replaceable filters. They're easier to get to. You got to make sure you take care of your drive system. Other than your engine, that drive system is probably one of the most expensive things to replace. And if you're not treating it right and taking care of it, that can get costly for you. So, but yeah, it's keeping your air filter clean. That's common stuff that anybody can do if you don't have a tech. Check your air filter, especially when you get into the season with the cotton and everything, pulling down to the top of the engine, making sure you're keeping that clean. When you get into stuff where you're getting oil leaks and stuff like that, yeah, that's not preventative. You need to bring that to a dealer. Especially if you're under warranty. Don't be like, oh, I'll just add a quart every day before we go out and it'll be fine. No, it doesn't work that way. You're going to do more damage than good. And if there's no oil in there, it's even worse because there's not going to be a manufacturer, whether it's Kawasaki, Kohler, Briggs, that's going to say, yeah, we'll give them a new engine because they ran out of oil. So common stuff like that. When you're using your machine and you got, 300-400 hours and your handles feel a little loose on it, doesn't mean, it's fine. I just, adjust to it. No, you can replace your dampers, and a good dealer will let you know how to do some of the simple stuff. If it's something that we have to explain that's going to take you 30 hours, it's going to take us 30 minutes to explain the process, well, that needs to be brought to the dealer. Our time is money. Your time is money. We can't sit there and hope that we explained it right and you figure it out and we're good to go. It's a lot easier just to drop it off and let them do what they do. So, but yes, your common stuff, keep your blade sharp, change your oil, check your oil, air filter. Those are the main things. And you want to take care of your drive system. If you don't know how to do it, you should have your dealer take care of it for you.
And one thing you just brought up, Mike, that triggered some memorable flashbacks for the last 20-something years is for sure it's not if, but when you're going to drop off that piece of equipment. I don't care how good it is. If things are going to break and things are going to go down. So let's just say, if I'm vetting a dealer, is there certain questions I should be asking about if I have a major breakdown, like I've got to replace an engine or a whole hydro system to be replaced? Is there certain policies or procedures in place that I can get basically a demo or a loaner for a certain amount of time, whether I'm paying for it or not paying for it? But, time is money. And I know you guys have been more than generous to us, and I got to thank you because you've kept us in business several weeks of, when engines blow and things happen. But I know one of the things that we really trust in that relationship, even if, it wasn't the cheapest price in town, the service and the backing up was instrumental for success. But if we blew an engine or something happened, 9 times out of 10, if there was a piece of equipment available, we were able to use that, whether it was free or at a cost, but it allowed us to continue to operate. So I guess proactively, if you're going out to vet a dealer, if you're working with a dealer right now, is there certain things I should be asking as a business owner around what if I have a catastrophic breakdown and my mower's down for the next 3 to 5 days?
Yeah, you definitely want to know that. You want to know their policies and their procedures. Everybody's got a demo program or a loaner program. Ours has been give us 24 hours. If you drop it off on Monday, first thing in the morning, if we can't have it back to you Tuesday morning, you're taking a demo. That's our policy. That's how we've been, because we stock so many parts and we've seen pretty much everything you can see. Thanks to Mike. We know that we can get that machine back to you. If we can, if you do need an engine, if you're purchasing an engine from us, yes, we will find a machine for you to get by until that engine is, replaced and put on. Our commercial service department is completely separate from our residential service department. I have 3 full-time techs that are strictly working on commercial equipment. So we're not going to have that backlog that we can get with our 3 residential techs that are sitting there, and we're taking in 25 residential machines a day. There's an area that you need to know, hey, do you have service techs that are just strictly for your commercial customers? If they say, no, we got 2 guys back there and they're pretty good, well, how good are they? Can they diagnose everything that they need? Have they seen most of the stuff? We're lucky enough to have 2 techs, Dave and Paul, that have been with us for over 30 years, and they're going strong today. And they've passed that knowledge on to my younger techs that are, my age, in our mid 30s, early 40s, that are moving forward with the company. So you want to know the succession plan that they have as well. If, they got 2 guys that, they've been here for 40 years. They're great. Well, how many more years are they going to be around? And what do they have in place to come behind them? So, but yeah, everybody should have some type of a demo program, especially when you're moving 200 plus commercial machines a year. I don't care what you're selling. There's going to be some issues that arise, and they're going to be warranty issues, and you just got to be able to, help the guys out. Because like I said, time is money on both ends, your end and ours.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we've definitely helped your techs see just about everything that could possibly be broke. So I may be heavy in the Excel sheets and the overhead recovery and the budgeting and the software, but throughout the years, until we actually had some full-time mechanics, we definitely learned what to do and definitely what not to do. And speaking of slopes, I think we've tumbled a few mowers, at least walk behinds down some hills. So you guys have bent them back into shape, made sure some decks kind of got pulled back, and amongst some other things. I'm sure we've got a pretty good record of motor replacement over there as well.
Yeah.
I may own that part of that back building, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, there's some Kawasaki graveyards back there for you, Mike.
So the wall of shame, I'm sure. But Mike, I can't appreciate you enough coming on.
Thank you.
Really a pleasure. And I know a lot of times as business owners, either we come in really strong, savvy business-wise or equipment-wise, or we're somewhere stuck in the middle. But that's always been one of the things that we see on a lot of the Facebook groups is, now that I've actually made the full-time jump, where do I go get this equipment? And no knock on the big box stores, but at least in my opinion, that's not the direction you want to go. And we see that a lot of times in these Facebook groups. So I think kind of bringing an expert like yourself on here with 60 plus years in the industry with the family business is helpful to the general public, because now at least we've kind of vetted some questions and a benchmark of what they should be looking at. And Mike, if people are in the upstate New York area, obviously you got a brand new location opening up in Buffalo, commercial only. And obviously the Rochester location over 60 years here. People are in the upstate New York area and interested in reaching out to you. Is there some way they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. Brodner.com. So BRODNER.com. That's our website. You can access us there 24/7. We're located in Rochester, right in the town of Gates, and then our new location in Buffalo, which will be commercial only. We're bringing our Mean Green, our Exmark, our Steiner, and our Billy Goat truck loaders up to the area. We're going to be on Transit Road in Depew. So look out for that. We'll have that up on the website. And anybody with the Automowers, it's Automower USA. I got my own website.com and Automower USA on Instagram. So we appreciate you guys. Thanks, Owen. Thanks, Mike, for having me on. And anytime you need anything, let me know.
Yeah, appreciate it. We'll tell Rick and Tim I said hello, and Paul and Dave and the whole crew over there. It's been a while, but definitely thank you for the success we've had over the years. So any comments or questions, feel drop them below in the comments here. We'll keep an eye on it for the next 24 to 48 hours. SA Weekly Talk Show coming to you live every Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central. Mike Callahan, Cody Owen, and special guest Mike Baum. We'll see you guys next week.
See you guys.
See you guys. Thank you.